Welcome back to Too Tired. I'm Christian.
And I'm Libby.
We are joined by my twin brother, Colin, again. Colin, welcome back.
Hello.
Colin is not going to be co-hosting this time. This is going to be Colin's episode, so be excited for that. Colin is a designer and a fellow podcaster and anime nerd, and he buys a lot of toys. And what else? What else sums you up?
That sums me up pretty well.
I'm glad you're wearing your hat that says Colin. I should have worn mine that says Christian from our other brother's bachelor party.
Good times.
So we're going to start out talking about your podcast. So you do a podcast called 3XP, TripleXP, with two guys from England. I want to talk a little bit about how you even found these people. And I think it's a really good segue into talking about adult friendships and really trying to find the community online. So go ahead and kind of tell us a little bit about what it is you guys talk about, but then talk about how you even found them.
Okay. So like everyone during COVID, you kind of just pick up new hobbies. And you and I both spent a lot of time playing with one friend in particular who was streaming at the time. And he had a couple people in chat one day, and we were all just kind of shooting the shit. So to say, I can't talk.
So to speak.
So to speak. And we just kind of connected on Twitter, and he was in a group that had just started basically like collecting these outcasts, these people that were picking up streaming as a hobby or just playing games more during COVID because we had nothing else to do. And I don't really know how, but I just kind of fit in, and we've all been friends now for almost 2 years. I think it'll be 2 years in March. And I was an occasional co-host for them during the beginning of their podcast, the first year or so. And I'd fill in as the main co-host. I guess I was the guest before. Then I'd become the co-host when one of them had other prior obligations and I had a good setup. So there's no secret that I was the guy that came to, so I could record with video and with good sound. And I just had the know-how with video editing just enough. And so after their first season, we'll call it, they asked if I wanted to join and be a permanent fixture in the TripleXP podcast, because before the third person was always the guest. Now it's just the three hosts and we do less guest stuff. And it started out as a gaming podcast. It's not so much that now. It used to be a kind of structured like video game news stuff, and we kind of had the realization that that's not really what we wanted to do. By the time anybody heard us talk about it, it was 2 weeks after it had been announced on Twitter or whatever else. So it just wasn't really our thing. So now it's much more organic. It's more like what we've been up to, what we've been watching. It's more just kind of reviews. They're much more up to date with gaming news and the current games, and they've played all of them. And I'm kind of like getting to games that came out 10 years ago and just now playing them. So cat hair in my mouth. I think it is just it's a good podcast because it's just, I don't know, we play really well off of each other. We're all very specific. Shane is the spreadsheet nerd, and Mike is just the kind of funny guy that has all the kids. And then there's me, who, I don't know, I think we have a good chemistry. Yeah, I'm the one with cat hair in my mouth. I'm the one with the recording. So we just kind of, I don't know, we shoot the shit for an hour and a half every other, or I guess we do it every other week now. It used to be weekly, but we needed a break. And slowly it's shifted into, do you want me to talk about Ponderpod now?
Sure.
Can I segue into that? So I came up with the idea of doing my own podcast based off of TripleXP because they wanted a way to do like an episode on mental health or something. And I'm like, well, I could do that. Like I'm the one recording stuff anyway. I'm the one with the setup. So I came up with a podcast called Ponderpod about a year ago, or was that 2 years ago? I don't even know.
It's got to be a
year ago.
A year ago, last February, I think. I only did 4 episodes. You were in the first one, Christian. It was you and Keller, and we talked about you having a child for the first time, and
him
Keller was
expecting.
about to. Yeah, they were a couple weeks away. Yeah, I guess you're right. She's gonna be 1. And so I only did 4 episodes. We talked about becoming a parent. I did one about being creative with you and Mike. I did one with Mickey about mental health, and I don't remember what the 4th one was. Must not have been that great.
I think it was with the 3XP guys.
Oh yeah, it was. We talked about COVID, but just because since they're in the UK,
Everything was really locked down.
They have very different circumstances, and I know the first variant actually originated in the town Shane is from, like literally in that town. So that was kind of an interesting conversation because Mike's been trying to get married, I think, for 2 years now. Shane's been trying to get married for a year. I was trying to get married for 2 years. And so we were all kind of just in the same boat. And that's kind of why we've all kind of connected a little bit better, is we have a lot in common. We have the same sense of humor. And we were just kind of going through the same stages in our lives, minus the children. That's just all Mike. I hope he listens to this. He probably will. That was Ponderpod. And so the new idea, not really new, but the idea is to bring Christian in as a permanent co-host with me to kind of tackle some more of those. We'll still have guests, but I think Christian and I have a good back and forth chemistry in these things. We both have good setups, so we'll both sound crystal clear and nice. And I think we could put together a pretty decent podcast for people to listen to on all sorts of subjects. I mean, like you said, anime nerd, toy collector, whatever it is. I mean, we can go anywhere from mental health to Demon Slayer on Netflix to whatever we want to talk about, the Packers, fantasy football, whatever, sports betting. That'd be a good one. So we might start that up again soon. We might not. We'll see. I'm sure we'll talk about me being flaky and having all these different interests that I fixate on. I hope that comes up in this podcast, because
you're not alone in that, because Christian does the same thing. It must be a twin thing.
Well, so
it's
that's
an
the
ADD
thing
thing.
too, though. Like every one of us that's in that gaming group, I would say there's probably 10 of us at this point. 10 good friends that range anywhere from there's, I guess, us two. We have Justin up there too, and then we have a couple guys in Texas and Canada, and it sounds weird calling it like the gaming group, but we're just like a bunch of middle-aged, not quite middle-aged, 30-somethings ish, bald gamers, nerds. Nerds is probably a better way. I don't think I'm really a gamer, but we're just a bunch of nerds who have the same interests, and we also have the same habits, same problems, where peer pressure is a very real thing. If you want me to play a game with you and it's $60, I'm probably going to end up buying it because you want me to. And it's just, we all have the same, the toys. We all do the same things. And that's kind of why we've all kind of found our home in the same little group. But anyway, Ponderpod, I think we'll come back maybe soon. Maybe we can do an episode, just you and me, and release it by our birthday.
Yeah.
And then from there, who knows, maybe we can figure it all out, have some episodes recorded to have in our pocket and launch it.
I'm excited for that because there's a lot of things that don't fit our show very well. Like Libby doesn't want to sit and talk about the Packers or talk about Funko Pops or vinyl, or, there's stuff that she's interested in.
Funko Pops.
Toys and
Once upon a time, you would have talked about Funko Pops.
So I think I think that'll help fit. Like we were texting back and forth talking about how many movies and TV shows and stuff that we watch or that we talk about in text anyway, that we could then kind of review and maybe not literally, but so I'm excited to do it that way. And I think the twin perspective is interesting because there's a lot of things that we are exactly alike on, but there's a lot of things we're complete opposites on. So I think it'll be an interesting way to really balance off of each other. Wanted to talk a little bit more about the whole needing to find a community, especially like you said, we're quote unquote middle-aged or just bald. And
You're going to be 30 in like a month.
That's not middle-aged thoh.
Well,
Middle-aged is like
but
50.
I mean, I had a midlife crisis like 5 years ago, so I'm ready for it. I don't care.
I think.
Do you see my arm?
a quarter life crisis is what you had.
As he's wearing anime, there's Kermit the Frog behind him. What is the most, before we get into the topic, what is the most interesting thing within arm's length from you right now?
Oh God.
That's a segment I've always wanted to do on here.
If you're not watching this on YouTube,
we'll explain it.
We'll take a screenshot and post it on Instagram.
Most interesting or like my favorite?
Both.
Because they're very
maybe both.
Different. Most interesting thing is this super old iron that came from our grandparents' house, and this is why it's interesting. I just recently pulled this out of the box that I brought it home in. What was that? 18 months ago. And the part that I found the most interesting was whose hair was inside this when I cleaned it out.
Gross.
Think about it though. Like it could have been great grandma's hair, great grandma's hair. Like it was just so weird to me cleaning it. And then like I used like this can of air. You're laughing.
I'm gonna puke.
No, it's gross.
It is gross, but it's true. And it's heavy and it's just cool. I don't know. They don't make stuff like this anymore.
Of all the shit behind you, I did not think you were going to pull out an antique iron from like the late 1800s.
And talk about hair.
And then my favorite thing is still, it's got to be Little Bear. This was a toy that I think grandma probably got us off QVC. I wonder if he still talks.
Pick one thing that you've bought recently that wasn't a hand-me-down that you really like. I mean, aside from the Kermit puppet, which I think is awesome, but no,
the Kermit puppets. The Kermit puppet's pretty great.
Will you do part of this podcast with the Kermit puppet?
No.
Please.
I don't know. I have a lot of old stuff too. I mean, I have a lot of toys, a lot of new action figures and stuff from My Hero Academia, which I'm even wearing a t-shirt of.
Back to the topic of finding community. What is it because of the pandemic? Is it because we're not allowed to go hang out with our friends? Is it because they're now scattered a little bit? I mean,
I still hang out with my friends.
You're in the area that most of our friends are, which I'm not.
Yeah,
so
he lives 5 houses away from me. I can see his house right now.
So I feel like that's the only way that I can hang out with our friends is like through gaming, through like hanging out in Discord, and like even if it's a Friday night or a Monday night, like usually there's somebody there to hang out, even if it's the people I'm friends with from work. So what is it about finding a community online with shared interests at our age that is so important, and why is it so hard to find friends organically beyond the friends that we've had for the last 10 years?
Well, I think this is where we're different, honestly, because I like to do things socially as much as I can. Not like every single night. I don't need to do anything, but like last weekend we went to a brewery and had a beer and stuff. And that's just kind of what we like to do. I mean, we try to do something on the weekends if we can. You're right. It is easy because Brady lives across the street from us. Actually, not even across the street. It's around a curve. So he's technically on our same side of the street, but it's easy for us to just get together with our friends because there's a handful of us in the area and a couple more that aren't too far away. I think
you're
terms
also
of like
all still kidless.
Also true.
Which I think plays a huge factor.
We'll come back to that
now, but
true. I don't think I needed the community. Maybe at the time I needed the community. And we, in terms of like meeting people in current times, I think we have. I mean, we become good friends with our tattoo artist and her boyfriend, which was just a total random thing by me getting a small random tattoo. And then a year later, I have a full arm sleeve and a bunch of other smaller random tattoos. For the online side of things, it just happened and we stayed friends. It wasn't like I needed that. Like I wasn't searching for that by any means. It just happened and we all stayed friends. And honestly, I think we'll be lifelong friends. And someday I think we'll meet up and it'll just be like we're hanging out in a Discord chat, having fun and making fun of each other. And I think that just happened.
For the people watching, we're playing with these things called monkey noodles.
Dude, I got one too.
We have lots of them.
I bought a 5-pack. Libby's literally sitting here doing this, and I keep seeing it, and it just looks funny.
I thought I was keeping it
I
low.
almost sent you a text the other day because we went to this place called the Learning Post, where it's like an educational toy store, and I bought 3 of these because they are awesome.
I bought a 5-pack for $10.
They're
Amazon. Just
like those weird little wall crawler things because they will leave like a stain on like a piece of paper or something.
But like things don't stick to it. Like hair and stuff doesn't stick to it, but you think it would.
Right.
Yeah, they're really satisfying. And sitting here, it's just my ADD is still running wild. So if you see us like moving our hands and stuff.
I keep one on my desk. I keep one at work on my desk, and I have one downstairs in our living room.
I saw a BuzzFeed article of like 10 things under $10 or something on Amazon, and of course I bought 2 of them.
Oh my God, those articles kill me. I can't even look at those, but that's how I get most of Becca's Christmas gift ideas.
Okay, so in one of the episodes of Ponderpod, when we were talking with our friend Mike, we were talking about the need to be creative, and we were having a whole conversation about how friendships, as you grow up, get different. They change, and you get different things out of them. So like you were saying, you weren't searching for that community, but that community is very different than the friends that we get to hang out with. Like the friends that I have from work, shout out Justin. He's really mad because in one of our last episodes, I said we had no friends, and he took that very personally, and he was very offended. I'm sorry, Justin.
I don't think they are very different, though. Justin's a perfect example where he's just like all those other people.
But compared to our friend group from the last 10 years, like the people you actually get to hang out with, like you get a different sense of things from them. Some of them are gamers, but some of them are sports people. Some of them are like our friend Mike, who's super low maintenance, and you can text and have a conversation about anything. Or, I mean, you have the people that you used to work with who you still like could hang out with. And when you hang out, it's
let's
like,
be honest, I don't really have friends. So all of my friends are like older.
We'll be your friend.
So what do you think is different about the community of gamers that you found? Is it just the fact that they're all online and they're in a different time zone? So literally you can just text and have like these funny conversations of sharing memes versus maybe the higher maintenance aspect of actually hanging out with people. I think for us, having a kid is the biggest thing. Plus we live an hour and a half from you guys. And if we were there, I would be hanging out with you guys too. I think that wouldn't change, but I'm not the kind of person who wants to go sit at a brewery and stuff on a Saturday afternoon. But some of that is also just having a kid. So what do you think about friendships as an adult and what they actually bring to the table as far as being different and filling different needs?
You got to pick those friendships a little bit more. There's a lot of people that we used to be friends with or that I just don't talk to anymore. I mean, you get to be a little more selective, which is good and bad, because that friendship group definitely dwindles down significantly. There's some people I wish I still talk to. There's some people that I've reconnected with. Quite a few people I've reconnected with really in the last couple of years. Away. I don't think I have any that I wish would go away, because we're not like kids anymore. We don't have to see people at school. We don't have to I don't have to work with a bunch of people I don't like. Like I have a good job and I work with good people, but I think it's just more selective. I get more out of those relationships because I can kind of choose what I want to get out of those relationships, not in like an unhealthy way by any means, but this is going to keep coming back to that gaming group, and it's just what we have in common. But I'm still friends with, I'd say probably like 80% of the people that I was friends with in 2010. I mean, there's a couple of people that straggled away, and it is what it is.
I'm literally not friends with one person from high school or college anymore.
I think
I've reconnected with a handful from high school, and I'm really glad that I have. Honestly, I'd say some of the people I Snapchat with daily, I went to high school with, and that's awesome. But
one of the things that our older brother Brendan has said, I remember talking about him and kind of his friend group and how it had evolved. This is probably 10 years ago, and he kind of talked about how you get to pick and choose. I guess you kind of said you're not in class with these people anymore. You're picking the people who are going to stand up at the altar with you. You're not picking the people that you have to go hang out with after the football game. And to me, that's extremely true. Like the people that I talk to regularly, or the people that I wish I could hang out with regularly, are the people who were in our wedding and who, I mean, if we lived in the Des Moines area, we'd be hanging out with. And so I think that it does make sense, but I think, you have different friend groups for a reason. And I think we have the people like Mike, who we want to talk about 3D printing and like nerdy stuff. And then you have like the people that I currently work with who have become like our gamer friends. And then we have like, you know, our core of people from 10 years ago who we were playing Guitar Hero and hide and seek with every night. And you can literally do nothing with. It's important to have a good
mix. Yeah, it's important to have a good mix, because I don't want to sit and play video games every day for the rest of my life. And I also don't want to sit at a brewery every night for the rest of my life. But it's nice to have that good mix. You just said something about who would stand up at the altar with you. And I don't remember how many people I had up there. It was either 7 or 8. I think it was 7. And every one of them I've known since 2009 or 2010, except for Keller, who was 2012-ish. So at least 10 years for all 7 or 8 of those people, plus Katie, who was on Becca's side. So 8 or 9. Keller was the officiate too. So, I mean, and then the photographers I've known since 2008 or 9. I mean, that was a very important part of that day. This is kind of a tangent, but we wanted to include as many of our friends as we could in that day. And we each picked people that we've known for a long time, and that's important.
We can completely change topics now, and let's go into the creative bit.
I feel like we could keep talking about adult friendships if we wanted to, because I think it...
Well, there's nothing left to say.
Well, I mean, I'm in a completely different boat, so...
I mean, go ahead.
I think there's a lot of people who have a whole bunch of different aspects from it. Like, no offense, but the second I started dating you, I lost all my friends from high school.
Yeah, Christian, you bum.
I don't think that was because of me, though.
No,
I think
it wasn't because of you. It's because I prioritized you. It's on me.
But I think you were ready.
But also,
I think you were more mature. I think you were ready to move on anyway. Plus,
yeah.
I'm older and obviously more mature. So
okay, not the point. But like, we were all going different ways. None of us were going to the same place. Like, none of us just kept in touch.
People were leaving for college.
Yeah, and then I went to Iowa Central, and I hated it, and I didn't get involved in anything. And then, yeah, I mean, any friends that I currently have, which I think I'd consider having maybe 5 friends, none of them are people that I feel like I can, like, text at any time, like, spill the beans about anything or, like, have a heart-to-heart with. They're just, like, casual friendships that, like, I can have a good time with if I want to, and, like, just makes me laugh.
There's a lot of anxiety around that type of stuff for me too, because there's always that. I've seen it several places talking about how people don't know if they're on the same level of friendship or commitment with their friends. So there's always those people who, like, yeah, I wanted people in my wedding, but to be asked to be in one of our friends' weddings meant so much to me, because it was kind of the reciprocation of like, hey, no, actually, you do mean a lot to me. And some of that's just how we express stuff, like with, I don't really want to name names, but people who we have been friends with for the last 10 or 15 years. And I think it's just that feeling of, do they still want to be friends with me as much as I want to be friends with them? And I think that's something that we really, really honestly want to get out of this podcast, is deeper friendships with people. And again, when I say we don't have friends, I mean that not literally. Justin, sorry. And like,
I kind of do.
Right.
Like, I'm being serious.
We still have that core of people from like high school, but again, until we make it to the Des Moines area, if we make it to the Des Moines area, like, I want those people that I can randomly send, monkey noodles still. I want those random people that are texting me or sending me funny Snapchats or something. Like, I feel like I don't get that from some of our friends, and then it makes me feel like they don't want to be friends anymore. And
but that's, a lot of that's contingent on the types of people you guys are. And I mean this nicely, but like, you guys like to stay home and watch Netflix. But
some of that is literally living 100
like,
miles away from people, having a child, and like,
I don't think that matters, because you have friends in the same town. I mean, you guys are just at a different stage in your life than we are. And so it might seem different, but like, once we're all on the same page, I think it'll be different. It's no different than when I graduated from college and then I moved back home for a year and a half, and I got super disconnected from everybody. But as soon as we were in the same place, everything was fine.
I don't disagree with that. I think
that's what I'm trying to say. Like, we're definitely friendly people. Like, that's not the issue at all.
Right.
Like, I wish I had a ton of friends.
Right.
Your priorities are different now, and that's fine. And you're also just like, your hobbies are a little different. And just because you don't hang out with somebody or go to the brewery with them on a Saturday doesn't mean if something was wrong or you needed to talk to somebody.
Right. But it's that literal disconnect, and then the physical disconnect of not being able to be like, hey, bro day Sunday, let's go watch football and drink lemonade like we used to.
Well, and honestly, I think for me, part of the issue is that I'm self-employed. I'm not going to a 9-to-5 where I'm interacting with people every day. I sit at home by myself. It's honestly very, very lonely.
But I'm not like hanging out with my coworkers either, because I work with a bunch of older people.
But again, you get different interaction from that, and you get different things, because again, you could reach out to those people and say, hey, I need something, or you're friendly.
You know what I mean, though, because people are, a lot of people are friends with their coworkers.
Yeah, they are. I mean, like, I met we worked with a ton of friends when I worked at Target. I mean,
like me.
awesome.
Shout out to Justin. We're still
Okay.
friends.
Okay.
You have more than one friend. My God.
No, I know, but I think what we're talking about specifically is we don't have the full fulfillment of like certain friendships because of the physical disconnect in space. And just like you found the community of people online, like we're still looking for that. And that's something we want out of this podcast, is to talk to more creatives and to get closer with some of those people, but also meet new friends. Like I'm so excited about some of the people who have reached out to us about wanting to be on this podcast that we don't even know. Like we've had a couple people who are like, hey, I saw this on Instagram, or I know you so-and-so, there's some mutual connection or something. So is that kind of what you mean?
I don't know. I just wish I had friends.
Okay, but here's the thing. If your guys' number one hobby is hanging out with your child and your dogs, and
That's not a hobby though. That's literal
hold
life.
on. But like, how many times have you been like to new people, hey, you guys want to hang out? Or even if it's like, you guys want to go out to eat? Or do you guys want to
Never,
go
because we've been in a pandemic for 2 years, and that's the whole time we've had a child.
That's another big factor, because you guys have handled that much differently than we have, which I mean, not to downplay the seriousness of it by any means, but we've been going to Costco. We've been going to Barntown. We've still done stuff to a much different level than you guys
absolutely.
have.
We haven't stepped into a restaurant since it started. So that is it definitely plays a factor in our lives.
But it's not like there's a list of people in our town where we're like, hey, you guys want to hang out? Like there's not people that we don't already know. And again, some of that is the difference in life right now, where like
I would love to have some
not gonna
like mom friends that are my age that I can like talk to about kid shit and like.
But that would require like either jumping into a random Facebook group or going to a
right. Like I don't even know where to start.
Or
like I don't want to go to a church thing. I don't want to, I feel like that's like a good place for people to. I don't want to do that.
I'm very excited to see what our friend group is like in 5 years when hopefully somebody else has kids, because I never expected to be the first person in the friend group to have a kid, and I'm not mad about it. Like I'm not mad about it at all. Like it's the best. Having a child's the best. But like, what do you think our friend group's going to look like in like, I don't know, 5 years? Whether you have a kid or not, like I'm not saying, hey, are you having a kid? I mean, we've talked about this privately many times.
I don't know if many of us will have kids in 5 years. I mean, I think there will be. I mean,
we'll mostly there
will be
between 32 and 35.
Yeah, I mean, I think as far as I know, like we just aren't in a hurry for all sorts of different reasons.
You personally, or like your friend group?
I think our friend group, from what I know, I mean, I don't want to speak for anybody by any means, because what do I know? But times have just changed. It's not like when our parents had kids at 21 or whatever. I mean, it's just not that way anymore. I think, at least for us, like I want Becca to feel like she can have her teaching career in a good point before she decides to take a little break or whatever it is. And we're just not that old. It's like we have plenty of time. I'm in a new town. I guess I've lived here almost 5 years, almost to the day. But it's just, what's the rush? There's no rush. So we're just trying to make sure
there's a rush.
No, I know.
We're also kind of the opposite though. Like we wanted kids.
We want a bunch of kids.
It was not planned the first time.
No, it wasn't. But I'm saying now that we have her, we're like.
Your priority is having kids right now.
I wanted a kid by the time I was 25. I got it, and it was unplanned, so it was a coincidence. But like,
and that's not.
And I've always wanted a lot. So.
And I feel like for most of our friend group, that's not a priority right now, and I'm sure it will be at some point. But again, we're not in a rush.
No, that's totally fine.
I'm just
you don't have to have any at all if you don't want to.
No, I'm just excited to see.
It's a very different dynamic.
To see how our friends grow in that, because it is like obviously a huge deal if you have a kid, and it is obviously life-changing, but like I think it'll be a lot of fun to have those same friendships and have our kids become friends and stuff like everyone always talks about. And again, there are some friendships that I'm surprised we're still that still exist after 10 years. And like you kind of said, there are some that are gone. I don't have any specifically either. that could cut. I think for when the pandemic did that a really easy way, but I think there's still those people too that distance has, or there's still people who I could talk to more, and I think Instagram and stuff like that helps to like leave comments back and forth, and just let them know that they're still relevant, or that you care enough to like leave a comment or something.
You still feel connected, even if you're just like seeing pictures of our life.
And some friendships, that's all it takes. It is just that quick like, oh hey, or happy birthday or whatever. But I think back to the whole thing of us wanting more friends, I think there's just certain connections and stuff that we're missing, and maybe once we move that'll change and we'll be able to like hang out with our old friend group more. And like Libby's never really got to meet a lot of their wives on a more personal level and like connect and like, hey, you guys want to go hang out, or you guys watch The Bachelor?
I'd be really good friends with all of them, but
you've
I've never really had an opportunity. I mean,
just
random
in passing at a wedding or something.
Yeah, or a random New Year's Eve night. Like, it's not consistent. It's not, And
so then you feel like that connection's not there, and then you feel like you're not friends, and then you question everything. You're like, I have no friends.
We talked about this more in the first episode of Ponderpod, which was with Mike and Shane, and we talked about how that group kind of just came to be, and a lot of people came and left because there were a lot of turds in there. But there was a good core group who are friends in real life, and then there's a few of us that are here and there. But I talked about how even though we're all strangers, that's kind of an advantage because I don't know, there's just a lot to say about people that don't know you in like a super personal way. So there's not a bunch of preconceived notions or, oh, he's done this before, or he's looking for attention, which I don't think our friends do that at all. But I don't know, that's why like the video calls with therapists and stuff are so popular, is because you're talking to a stranger who has no idea, like they're there to help you. And I said that in that episode, how we all had each other's backs. The pandemic was this weird thing, still is, but not as weird, whatever. But it was just like everybody was stuck in their house. They had nothing to do. A bunch of us built PCs or got PS5s or whatever. And really all we could do is stay inside. So like, I didn't even know what Discord was before that. I didn't have a computer. I didn't have like any of these hobbies. It was a way for us to connect. And the fact that we were strangers was just part of it. And that honestly helped. I mean, there were several times where I reached out to some of those guys. They reached out to me just to make sure everything was good. And I honestly think there's people that I know in real life that I've reconnected with since then, just because we were all kind of stuck inside. And a lot of times you'll find that you didn't stop becoming friends for any one reason. I remember one time running into an old classmate in a bar, and we sat and talked for an hour, and it's just like we were the same kids from 2009 hanging out in the Micah's basement. And it was just like, oh, things haven't changed. People just like moved away. That's all. If you ran into those people, it would just be like they never left. So I think it's just a circumstance of where you live, where you're at in your lives, and I don't know, life. That's just how it happens.
Yeah, and I think a lot of kind of what you just said comes down to when you don't know these people, they're not asking for anything. So it's low maintenance, and I think that takes a lot of the pressure off of it.
Yeah.
And helps things be a little bit more organic, so it's not so like, hey, we're in this thing, so should we be friends? It's more like, what do you bring to the table? Not like, I need something. It's not a give and take.
Yeah, and I don't think you necessarily need something from anybody. Like, it's not like you need a place to hang out on Saturday, or like if you needed somebody to talk to, I guarantee 99% of the people in your phone contacts would answer. Like the fact that you don't call anybody is one thing, but they would answer. And I've had people that have called me random. I'm like, why the hell is this person calling? And then I answered, and it's like, hey, I just need some help. I got in a car accident. Can you come pick me up? It's like, okay, absolutely, I'll come pick you up. Like, there's just different things. Friendship means so many different things. It's not just like who you'd hang out with on Friday nights in high school. It's not just who would be there if you needed them to talk about, I don't know, you having a tough time or something. I mean, it's just it means so many different things. And the older you get, it's more about just like knowing they have your back and you don't even have to say it. Like it's just, they're reliable. They're there. They might be in the background, but it's like a program on your computer. Like it might be running in the background, but if you need it, you can bring it to the front and it'll still help you out.
I think that was a good way to put it as far as what we're looking for as far as friendships, because it does mean so many things. We're looking for people with interests that are more aligned with ours currently at where we are in our lives, because again, we have friends. They're just not at the same point as far as having kids and wanting to hang out and have nights to watch The Bachelor and like game nights or something. Not that you guys don't like game nights, but
I bet if you asked somebody, they would do that. Like your friendships can evolve, and I feel like a lot of ours have, from being like, I keep saying our tattoo artist is a great example. Like we basically paid her an hourly rate to be our friend, but then one time we're like, hey, you want to hang out? And we've hung out with them several times. I think they're coming to my birthday party, whatever that looks like. But like that, we never expected that, and now we've hung out with them probably 3 or 4 times in the last month, and it can happen, and it does happen.
I'm not saying it doesn't, but I'm saying like our friend group does not have kids, and we need somebody who like, we want friends who are creative. We want people who have similar schedules to her. We want people who are like,
it doesn't have to be that though.
I'm saying that's more what we're looking for. We're looking for people who have more similar interests, so then
I don't think I'm really looking for anything. I mean, I want
friends.
I want I want friends that I can relate to on a mom level, but other than that, I don't care.
Welcome Luna the cat to the podcast.
I don't know why her pause went.
I mean, obviously, going back to our last episode, I want to be friends with that I connect with on
go away, cat.
beliefs and about like that stuff too. But like,
yeah, but like, there's not times where I'm sitting and talking to my friends about politics.
No,
really.
I know.
I mean,
I know.
But those friendships also exist. That's a whole separate like thing people look for.
I didn't mean to get into any of that. I'm just saying, like, I want people that I can connect with and relate to on all sorts of aspects, and not just some rando that's like.
I think a lot of this probably feels exaggerated to us because we are isolated. We are in a town without most of our friends, and so it just feels heavier. And
yes,
I know you're shaking your head. And again, having a child, we've had this conversation before too, like that's a whole separate thing that kind of feels cut off from the rest of the friend group because we are the first and only people with children. So like a child. So like it does feel different in that sense too. And so I think, again, that's potentially what else we're looking for is people who understand that, because until somebody else in our group has it, like I can't share that experience, which is why, sorry, monkey noodles. Which is
mine are just called noodles, not monkey noodles.
That's
it's
what they're
weird
called.
To call them monkey noodles.
They're called monkey noodles.
Ours are just called noodles.
So that's why
Same
the episode
pattern.
we recorded for Ponderpod, when I got to talk about fatherhood and talking to a friend who was my old college roommate about him about to be a father, like
he's got a kid, yeah.
Well, yeah, but that was like more meaningful because it is a whole different ballpark. Or again, for me to talk with our older brother who has 2 kids now, or something like. It's a different connection.
Yeah, I feel like the reason you're closer with your older brother and even your sister now is because of the kid aspect.
Yeah, I think that definitely helped me get closer to them. Yes, not that I'm not close to Colin, because obviously the twin bond is different.
You know what I mean?
We've been bonded since conception.
Since
I think the biggest,
since our egg split.
I think the biggest, we were the same egg.
That's what our podcast should be called, not Ponderpod. It should be called Egg Split.
Okay.
What?
You're gonna cut this out.
I think no, don't cut it. That should be your little snippet. I think the biggest issue here is we are very different. We're a lot alike in several ways, but we're pretty different socially, I would say.
But you keep saying that. I don't understand that, because I'm 100 miles away. You're acting like I wouldn't be hanging out with you and our friends if I was there.
Kinda, yeah.
You probably wouldn't want to.
I wouldn't be going to a bar or something. But again, like I have different obligations with having a kid.
Difference. But the thing is we're looking at it as being similar, and we just happen to have the same friend group. So it's not apples to apples because we're different people, but we have the same insight to our friend group, but we're different friends within that group. I mean, I'm closer with people than you are and such. So I don't think it would be very different if we both had totally separate friend groups. We just know enough about each other that
You grew up together.
But but that's where I think
we're not the same.
I think the biggest issue there is space. Because if I was hanging out with those people every week or something too, I feel like I haven't gotten the opportunity to build a lot of my friendships as adults with our friend group because I haven't been in the same place with them for the last 5 years.
Correct. But I think even if you were here, you still have a kid, you still have dogs, you still have other priorities. So I don't think it would necessarily change as much as you think it would, which is fine. We don't have to agree on this by any means. And I don't want to argue because that would be dumb. But Lippy's laughing.
Because I can sense it turning into an argument.
Nah, I don't like to argue at all anymore. It's just not worth my time. That's just something that
Can we finish this conversation with Kermit?
No. You two you're similar in like your mannerisms and like obviously the way you look, but like you are very different people.
I think socially is where we're the most different.
But again, that's the third time you said that. And like, I don't have an issue hanging out with people, but I'm not like
I don't think that's what he's trying to say. I think what he's saying is
you're not willing to go out of your way to make new connections like I would.
In what way?
I don't think that's true.
I know it's true because I've heard you say several times, oh, so-and-so was, I saw so-and-so at the store, ran into somebody today. And I was like, oh, did you say hi? No. Like
there's a difference between like being at work and running into those people, since I work in retail in a very public place. And it's somebody from like 12 years ago that was like a total asshole or like one of the jock kids from our class and versus like the parent of a friend.
But I don't see it that way. I don't see them as the jock asshole from our class because we were all kids and it was 12 years ago. Like, that's the difference.
I think you're playing up the fact that you would go up to every single person and be like, oh, hey, remember me? What's up?
I wouldn't go out of my way to avoid them.
I think it's still different if you're at your job and you don't want to talk to these people.
I mean, that's just the nature of the job, though, a little bit. It's not like they're walking past my office.
I think it's just circumstantial.
Yeah.
But again, it's just because we're different people. Maybe
what does that have to do with making connections? Because again, if it's the jock kid from our class from 12 years ago and I don't go up to say hi to them, that doesn't mean I don't want to make social connections with new people or old people.
We're not talking about new people. I'm just saying that we're different enough in social situations that we're not the same.
If that was your example, I'm not going to agree on that.
You don't have to agree.
I don't think it was a good example, but I do think you are different. Like, I think your friend group likes to go to a bar, likes to have drinks. You don't like going to the bar. You don't like drinking.
We don't go to bars. We go to a brewery that's a sit-down restaurant that serves craft beer. We're not like
there is a difference on that front, which is fine. There's nothing wrong with not wanting to do that. We do more than that.
I mean,
right, but I think if you're hanging out at somebody's house, I think if you're going to like Up Down or whatever, that's something that he would join you on happily.
Up Down is a bar, first of all.
Colin, you know what I mean? Bowling, a movie, I don't know.
I'm not a very good bowler either, but
like
regardless.
Because it's also a bar.
Anyway.
It doesn't, I mean, regardless of the point, we're not the same person. And I think
no, and that's totally fine.
Yes. I just think people think we're more alike than we are. And that's fine, but that's a misconception, I think.
And I think because of that, you can't expect to have the same friendships with every person.
Again, that's not what I'm saying. But when I'm sitting here openly saying like I'm not fulfilled by the friendships that I currently have because I don't get to see them, and then so that's the giant gap, which is why we're saying like very openly we want to make new friends from this. We want to make deeper connections with the people we know. We want to make she gets to see some of these people at weddings and stuff and like that stuff, but then that's
never
where
again.
to have you say like, oh no, you don't make new connections because you avoid everyone. Like, to me, that doesn't seem fair.
I didn't say you were avoiding everyone. I just meant, like, we have the same friend group, and so we see our friend group differently, even though they're the same people, and that's fine.
But again, that's where, as far as being accessible, like, it's not that they're 100 miles away or 3 houses away from you, 5, whatever it is. Like, 5. You get to see these people more often, and yes, that friendship's different. You lived with him off and on since college. Like, you guys were roommates, like, 7 times. Twice.
He's one example.
Right, but he's like the one who keeps coming up.
No, I know.
And so, yes, that friendship for me and him and you and him are going to be different. We were all in each other's weddings and like, great. That to me shows like friend commitment. But at the same time, like, I don't know.
You just miss your friends. Let's just put it that way.
Right. I absolutely miss my friends. And that's one reason why we want to move to the Des Moines area is because, like, we miss those connections and we want to be more involved in, like, social settings. But again, that's why we also want to make new social connections.
I would like a kid not to stop us from living our lives, but currently that's our situation. Partly because of the pandemic, but also
babysitters and, stuff like that, too.
Big responsibility. Anyway.
Yep. All right, well, that turned into a way longer part of the episode, but I want to talk a little bit about creativity. So you are
that's what we were supposed to talk about.
You are a graphic designer. You work for
a
large school in Central Iowa, and you talked a little bit about being very easily peer pressured into
these damn cats,
into video games and stuff. What is something?
I'm not just peer pressured into video games, though. I hardly even play video games.
I know, but like we both bought 3D printers, which we didn't necessarily peer pressure each other into, but
you bought PCs to build. You bought
whoa. First of all,
microphone system, whatever you call this crap.
What are we using right now? He's also using everything.
No, I know, but like
building a PC is like
the thrill of a lifetime.
It is very fun. It is very challenging too.
But you had a perfectly working Mac.
Completely different.
They're very different, but whatever. Let's talk about being creative.
What is something that you want to get more into? I think last episode you talked about following more fine art people on social media, like getting kind of back into drawing and painting. What is something that you've never tried that you would love to if it was more easily accessible?
That's hilarious.
Or you didn't have to pay a ton of money to learn how to do it.
I guess I really don't have an answer to that, because the way I see it is I'm an adult. I'm a child with adult money. And so I don't have children. I don't have.
Yeah, we've established that.
I don't have much debt. I have a mortgage, but like we have plenty of expendable income currently, like in these years. And so I keep telling Becca, like, this is the time we should go on trips. And this is the time.
This is the part you need to talk as Kermit the Frog. We have plenty of money and can go on trips, and
all I can picture is the meme.
As you talk about having way too much money, he's gonna pull out this Kermit the Frog puppet, put his hand in his butt.
In his butt?
It's not in his butt, it's in his back. It's kind of weird. You kind of act like his backbone, but I'm not doing that. I don't know. I don't even know what I was saying. Oh, this is like the time in our lives where we can afford to get tattoos, and this is when we can buy a Kermit the Frog puppet. Like, it's stupid, but it's fun. Becca and I both like toys and stuff. And that stems from just childhood. I mean, how many times?
That's a perfect thing. What do you think it is about, like, we had everything we could have possibly wanted as kids? Like, we did not come from a family who had money. We didn't have, like, we got a lot of hand-me-downs from my cousins and stuff. So what is it about now having disposable income that is like,
this would have been a much better conversation than talking about Friends for 40 minutes.
What is it about, like, is it the nostalgia? I bought a whole pack of Tech Deck skateboards the other day, and like, for some reason I always thought those were so expensive, and in reality it was $12 for a 6-pack. So now I'm like, shit, could I buy a bunch of these and like display them in a cool way to show off like the art of the skateboards? And Libby was like,
no,
why?
Because it's just a phase.
You just said I'm not. And then he has like all of these toys behind him. Like, you're not going to do that. That's stupid.
That's a big thing.
Kermit the Frog.
Consistency is a big thing for me. I know mom's going to say we have ADD. We do, but I hate that. Like, I'm very comfortable with who I am, and I know who I am, and I know what I want.
As you change yourself with a bunch of tattoos.
It's not changing yourself.
But like, this isn't a phase. This is permanent.
It better not be a phase, because it is permanent.
I was very well aware of what I was doing the day I got this and my dumb little cheese tattoo. But look, I have a friend out of this now. Like, we hang out with her because she gave me a $50 cheese tattoo.
Hey,
like,
I have nothing wrong with tattoos. I love them. So
I'm
not bashing on tattoos.
I have all sorts of tattoos, and that's totally fine. But what I mean is, like, I have like this bad habit of, really, it's addiction, which sounds terrible to say, and I don't want to put it that way because it's not an addiction like people struggle with. It's just like, I jump from thing to thing all the time. 3D printing, the toys, video games. I'm looking around my office.
Becca, the
Art,
cats.
Podcasts.
podcast. Like I just kind of have this habit of whatever is interesting, Legos, whatever is interesting at the time, I dive into fully. And that's totally fine. I keep saying that too. It's totally fine, but it is like, I don't care. I'm almost 30 years old and I'm wearing an anime shirt. I'm wearing a hat with my name on it. A Kermit the Frog puppet. Like, what the hell? But like, who cares? It's not like I have a child who's starving. I don't have all these animals that are neglected. I don't have a job that's failing. Like, I am doing well and I can afford to do these things. So whatever the hell I want to do, I can do. And there's all sorts of stuff. It's like, I remember watching, this is kind of an odd example, but I remember when Butterfly Effect came out and Blair Witch Project came out, and we were far too young to see those movies. But once I got into high school or college, I'm like, I'm going to watch that movie. I always wanted to, whatever. And so I did. And now it's like, well, I have a little bit of cash to spend. And our brother used to have a collection of action figures in the package, and I wanted nothing more than to open one. And now I buy action figures and I open them and I put them on my shelf. I mean, it's just,
which makes sense. I think that's a good tie-in. Kind of like I said, it's not like we
like
went without
the Packer
things.
helmet. I mean, I've got a Packer helmet up there too, over there. It's just like something you always wanted and you didn't get. I'm not going and buying a pony yet, but like you
Power Wheel.
You can afford to buy some things. And yeah, there's going to be a day where I move out of this house and I'm like, why the hell did I buy
You're very fortunate in that aspect.
25 action figures? Yeah, I'm definitely fortunate in all the things I can afford and I can do. And that's fantastic. And I got lucky in life. I guess we could talk about part of me being creative is the fixer-upper that helped me out a little bit, like at least financially. I mean, our first house we bought 2.5 years ago, 3 years ago. Actually, it was 3 years ago. I think it closed in March, but it took a while to close. We bought a foreclosure, crappy 1912 built house, and we just got lucky. It was before COVID. And oh, I'm not getting choked up. That was just like a
just really emotional.
I hated that house, but I learned all sorts of different things. I didn't own any power tools. I had a lot of help from a family member, which was fantastic. I learned all sorts of new stuff. But basically the point of the story is I had to live in that shithole to get to this house. And in doing so, I was able to relieve some debt, and that freed up some money. So I can do stuff like this. We were able to go on a couple of trips. We were able to get married twice. And we've got a couple of trips, hopefully coming up soon, or maybe not soon, in the next year or so, but we know what we're capable of. And we know our timeline. I mean, whether it's biological or not, like we know that if we're going to have a child, it's going to have to be within the next 10 years at the most, which is crazy, but we have time, and we're glad to take our time, and we're glad to kind of have fun and be the kids that we wanted to be, in whatever way it is. I mean, whether it's Becca buying dolls as a hobby or me buying action figures as a hobby, I mean, it's just kind of, it's fun. And there's a fine line. I mean, there's like buying every toy in front of you because you're dumb and have a problem.
They're all
not
cool.
A great way to put it. But then there's also like
addiction.
Right. Those figures are like my favorite show. That they're specific enough to me, or the Packer helmet or whatever it is. I mean, that's not a phase. The action figures maybe a little bit, but I didn't have to buy them.
What's the next thing that you're going to spend way too much money on?
I don't know.
It's going to be pizza tonight.
Chicken and waffle pizza's back.
I was going to make some air fryer taquitos.
The taquitos are great. The Southwest chicken ones?
Extra crispy.
These would be homemade.
Oh.
Homemade taquitos.
Please share the recipe.
Oh, there is no recipe. I'm going to make it up and see what happens.
Oh, okay.
That's another thing about being creative, and I don't think many people have talked about that before. You talked about Steve and Tyler. You got to make sure the "and" is in there, so you're not just talking about Steve and Tyler. Dream on. is cooking is a great creative outlet. I love to cook. I'm kind of a picky eater, but I definitely want to try everything before I say no, thank you. What was it I just ate the other day? It was something weird. And I was like, I don't know what that is, but let me try it. Oh, it was a Bloody Mary. I never had a Bloody Mary before. I'll never drink one, but I tried it.
I saw a meme the other day. It was like, I don't understand why people want spaghetti sauce with their alcohol.
I don't understand it either. It was disgusting, but some people live and die by those things, and that's totally fine. But I mean, cooking is a great, I don't know, it's very creative. You kind of know the base ingredients and you can kind of get creative from there. But that's something that I kind of dove into a little bit more once I moved into this house where I kind of had an actual kitchen that I like to be in. And it's tough because Becca's a little picky. I've made a lot of bomb stuff that she hated. One time she like almost threw up.
Peas and mashed potatoes, I feel like.
That's pretty accurate. Yeah. She probably eats the same range of foods as your child.
Of all things, peas? Ugh.
Frozen. She'll eat them frozen.
It's disgusting. Anyway.
This isn't about her, but one time I made bomb spicy miso noodles or something that I found in a Chrissy Teigen cookbook, and it was so good. Probably the best thing I've ever made, and she almost threw up, and I was so upset that she did not like it.
That has happened several times. So I love to cook. I will love to more when we get a nice kitchen.
Our kitchen sucks.
It's very small.
We both hate doing the dishes.
Not that bad. I hate doing dishes. Christian sucks at dishes.
Yes, he does.
I think I'm too OCD, and then it takes me so long because Libby will be like, okay, I did. And then I'm like, this fork is not clean. This plate is definitely not clean.
True.
Do you know how easy it is to install a dishwasher?
Okay, anyway, we're moving. We're moving eventually. So I'm excited to talk to hopefully Steve and Tyler about food, but that happens every time. Like when I grill or anything, I'm just waiting to see her reaction. One, it's like the small like celebration of, oh wow, this is really good. But there have been times where she's like, oh, I don't really like it. Or one time I spent like $60 to make an imitation of one of the restaurants in town's bacon cheeseburger soup, and it was so expensive. Like the amount of Velveeta cheese and stuff in it, it was like 2 pounds of hamburger, a pound of bacon. Like it was like this really like rich soup. And I swear to you, it cost me $60 and she took a bite out of it, and she doesn't do leftovers for most things. And so then it just like me being stabbed in the heart over and over.
Okay, but it wasn't
again.
like a flavor issue. I'm a weirdo about texture, and like the melted potato was just.
That's not in the cheeseburger soup.
Okay, well.
There's also a soup I make with hash browns that I love, and she's like, I don't like it.
I like my potatoes to be like chunky.
I've gotten to the point where we have to be on the same page for when I cook a lot of stuff, but at the same time, it's like if you know I was excited about this, don't make it over the top. I don't like it.
Also, always have cereal on hand.
Yeah, we're totally fine with a frozen pizza on a Friday if we need it. That's not a big deal. But we have a good like handful or two of things that we know we can make, and we'll both like it. But cooking is it's a great reason to make new stuff. It's a great reason to cook healthy. It's a great reason to whatever. But you got to get a dishwasher, and it'll help you out.
Yeah, I'm currently the dishwasher. So, anyway,
your question was, what's my next thing I want to spend a bunch of money on?
What is the next like? I don't want to say fad, but what's the next thing that you want to get into or you want to invest in a little bit to try?
Foresee yourself getting into.
Decorating our house, probably, which sounds dumb, but
like with art,
like I said,
or like pillows,
or like painting.
Because
you're in a brand new build, so everything's pretty like.
We talked
basic,
about that
right?
today about how everything is a little cookie cutter.
No, it's not basic,
I didn't say
but it's
cookie cutter. Everything's white and gray.
I meant new builds in general. I didn't mean specifically.
It's not all white and gray either. I mean, I've swapped out a couple of light fixtures and stuff. We haven't painted any walls because we painted every wall on the first week of the old house, and I hated that.
I meant like when you first moved in, everything was just like. To me, new builds just feel sterile. I don't know how else to explain it.
It's kind of sterile. I mean, as I look around, yes, but we've done enough decorating where it still feels like home. But we've been watching a lot of Queer Eye on Netflix, and I know Christian doesn't watch it, and he needs to because it would change his life. It's the best show ever. we've just been watching a lot of stuff like that where it's like when they dive into the design, you're like, oh, I could do that.
Makes
like,
you wanna
we just don't know how to
customize.
decorate a wall. We don't know how to like fill the space and arrange things. And we have kind of a small living room that runs into our dining room / kitchen. And we've lived here for a year and a half, 18 months. And it's just time to paint an accent wall. And I've like the stuff behind me didn't exist even 2 months ago. So just spending time in our house and making it more what we want, I guess, is probably my answer.
All right, to wrap this up, we're going to play a new game on the podcast. We're going to do a little bit of Would You Rather, Libby.
Colin, are you ready?
Sure.
All right. Would you rather dress up every single day or only be allowed to wear sweatpants every day?
I have to wear a shirt and tie to work every day. So
Okay, but like this is hypothetical.
it's not hypothetical, it's life. And I
Okay.
guess I choose that. I don't really wear sweatpants a whole lot. I'm not really much of a sweatpants person.
Team sweatpants.
Yeah, sweatpants for life.
I mean, of those two options, if I could wear sweatpants and it was like accepted, I would.
That's the
what-
question.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
In like a like if the circumstances were the same either way, I would pick sweatpants. Yeah,
Okay.
sure.
Would you rather let people read your mind, read your thoughts, or have access, or let people have access to your internet history?
Internet history.
That
Yeah.
seems like the better
1000%.
answer.
Okay. Would you rather lose your sight or your hearing?
Hearing.
I don't know if this is supposed to be fast or not, but I would almost say sight.
Really?
Nope. Hearing.
Yeah.
Hearing.
I don't know, man. Music. I think you need music more than you need to see something.
But no. Next.
Were you once able to see or you're born blind or deaf?
I don't know.
born deaf?
Born that way?
Sure.
I think that changes it. I think then it's easier to. Oh man, I want to say that.
Is it reversible?
No.
No.
I'd still say blind.
Would you
I'd
rather
get a dog.
Oh my gosh. Okay. Would you rather have a pause or rewind button for your life?
Why would you want to pause? You should have said fast forward or rewind.
It's not the question.
Why would you want to pause anything?
It came from Google. I don't know.
That's a weird question.
Enjoy
Google.
the moment. I don't know. Extend your vacation.
Choose your adventure. I'd say pause. I don't want to redo stuff.
Same.
I'd pick rewind.
Really?
Yeah.
Why? You hate your life? Damn.
Have you seen the movie about time?
Duh. He literally
It's-
watched it
I watched
the other
it last
day.
night. 2 nights ago.
I love that movie.
It's like a top
and-
5 movie of all time.
But by the
for
end of
me.
the movie, what does the story is to not, you don't need to rewind.
Don't
You
spoil.
shouldn't have to.
Anyway,
I'm gonna rewatch
It's
it
the
again.
moral. It's not
would
that it's
you
not
rather?
spoiler.
This one. Okay. Would you
Wait,
rather?
had you seen that movie before? That was the first
Yeah.
time you'd seen it.
We saw it in the theater when it came out.
Oh, okay.
It's
We
been one
also
of
own
my.
it.
Yeah.
Great movie.
Would you rather give up heat and air conditioning for life or internet for life?
Oh, okay. That's more intense than I thought it was gonna be.
Oh God. Probably internet.
Same.
My
I
foot
need
is so
air.
asleep. I can't even move it.
I don't know.
I need air, man.
I think the internet's more life changing than heat or internet. A lot of people don't have.
I'd
either.
rather be bored than uncomfortable every day of my life.
That's fair.
Same.
But okay.
Would you rather have a full phone battery all the time or a full gas tank all the time?
Full gas tank. My phone battery never dies.
Fair enough. Would you rather swim in a pool of Jello that stains your skin,
What color?
blue,
Blue.
or syrup?
Paul Giamatti turns blue in Big Fat
How-
Liar. That's all I can think
How
about.
deep is the pool?
I don't know.
You're completely submerged.
Completely submerged. I'd probably say
12,
Jello.
12 feet deep.
Let's say Jello.
Yeah, as long as the stain is temporary.
But then it starts to
Syrup's-
like
syrup's
break
not
down
that
and
thick.
Okay, would you rather
Viscosity.
have a personal chef or a personal maid?
made.
Will the chef also clean up dishes?
Yes.
That's a good point.
Chef.
Okay, then chef.
Last one. Would you rather have BO for your entire life and not know it, or
Oh, I know
always
it.
smell the BO on everyone around you?
Oh God.
Ugh.
I'd rather have BO. I don't want to sniff other people's stank.
Yeah, but nobody would ever want to be around you.
Nobody wants to be around me. It's fine. I don't need them.
All right. Well, that's it for Would You Rather tonight. So thanks for coming on.
As Ponderpod gets closer to the relaunch and reboot, we will post something about that and kind of direct your attention to that on social media or however we decide. So stay tuned for that. We'd like to thank everyone who has been watching and listening to us. Make sure you are hitting subscribe and following us. Make sure you're leaving a 5-star review. If you are on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, you don't even have to write anything. You can just mark it as 5 stars. Make sure you follow us on all social medias. We still need to be better about posting on other social medias besides Instagram, and
I'm not even posting on my own business social medias right now. So
we have more coming. We have several guests lined up that we are super excited to talk about. Obviously, this whole episode is about friendship, so please be friends with us. Colin, anything before we go?
I don't think so.
is there a place?
Thanks for having me.
Is there a place where people can find your design work?
Or do you want to plug
No.
your Twitch channel or something?
Yeah, like, do you want to?
I mean, Ponderpod will come back around. It was fun doing it. I think we only did 4 episodes the first time, but it'll be fun to bring that back. I don't really have design work posted anywhere. What I'm doing now is getting back into designing for myself, which is kind of what I thought we were going to talk about, is just how, since I do it for a living 9 to 5, actually it's more like 7 to 3, but whatever. I don't really do anything for myself in terms of design, but recently I've started, basically I like made myself as an anime character just to see if I could do it as a challenge, because I don't really have I don't know characters design. I don't really draw. That's not me, but I think I actually did a pretty solid job. And so then I made like the cats and I made Becca and I did all this stuff. So hopefully I'll start posting some more stuff on my Twitter, which I think is at Colin Gargano, maybe.
I can tag it. I'll link that in the description.
I think my Instagram's the same. I have some design stuff on there, random stuff. Like I designed like a Gatorade bottle one time, whatever. But something I need to do for myself is just design stuff. So yeah.
All right. We will link him in the description. And then obviously, like I said, we'll talk about Ponderpod as it gets a little closer and kind of promote that, because obviously I'm going to be a part of it and I'm really excited. So
maybe.
Hopefully, I guess.
As long as
Give
it's
me a
not
week. I wouldn't even want to do it anymore. Yeah.
That's fair. Welcome to our lives.
Good night.
Bye.